Hello everyone, welcome to Vanity Hacks. This is your host Ovia, and today we are going to be talking about variables today. And again, this is in the C++ playlist, so the syntax and everything that we're looking at today is in C++, and the program that we're going to be using to work on today is CLion. Okay, so let's get started. So what exactly is a variable? A variable is pretty much like a container that can store any kind of value. And the kind of value can be described by things called data types. And there are different kinds of data types in C++. There's one called int, which is basically integers. They're whole numbers, they can be positive, negative, they just can't be decimals. And double and float, now if you see that, they both are decimals. But the difference between a double and a float is that double have up to 15 spaces of numbers that you can put after the decimal placement, whereas the float only has 6 to 7 places. And this is important if you want certain precision in your numbers. Double is the way to go. And also, I've just seen more people using double. I rarely see people using float. Double just always has better precision. And std : string is a string data type, and it's always denoted, like the value of it is always inside quotes. It's like a sentence, a word, could be a letter too, but use char for that, and I'll get more into that. It can have numbers, it can have numbers, words, letters, characters, anything. So char, character that I mentioned for a minute ago in the string part, that is only allowed to have like one space, and like, one character. And it's under these things. Instead of double quotes, it's like single quotes. And anything inside it can be a number or a letter or a special character again. And this over here is something called Boolean. That's true or false values. It can be denoted as true or as false. And now we're going to be talking about what we can do with all these different data types and how we can write them. So first over here, you can write all of them in a line like this if they're the same data type. So over here, all x, y, and z are data type int, and we just put them all in one line separated by commas, and they would get declared. And you can also declare them like this. You don't have to give them a value, you just have to label them and put them like this. And you can also make them all equal to a certain value, which in this case is 9. And again, all of this can only work if they are the same data type. You can't do it for different data types.
So before you try to do it, ask yourself, what is the data type?
And now we're going to talk about the different types of operations that you can do with this. You can add, you can subtract, you can multiply, you can divide, and you can also do this other thing called modulo, which will give you the remainder of the division between whatever variables that we're using, which in this case would be a and y. You can also do these kinds of operations with just regular numbers or decimals too, but because we're talking about variables, I put them all inside in like using variable values. And you can also do this thing where you put plus plus, which is incrementing whatever value it is by 1, and minus minus, which is decrementing the value or subtracting the value by 1. And you can also do this over here, plus equals 6. So what that would do is it would add the value 6 to the already existing value of a. So now I'm gonna build the project, and that's it for variables, guys. Well, actually, before I wrap this up, let's also talk a little bit about the naming convention for the different data types. So when you're usually naming something, just as like good practice, it's good for the code and just for like general understanding. I would highly suggest putting a value that, like a name that makes sense. So like, right now I just wrote random values, random names. It doesn't really mean anything, but if you're creating a certain project or if you're having it do something, I would say name your variable something that is specific to what you're doing. You can also just use comments too, but it's just really good practice and it just makes a lot more sense if the name of your variable is like self-explanatory. So let's take the ABCs over here, for instance. Right now it doesn't make sense. Like, what does A mean? What does B mean? Like, yes, they're alphabets, but like it doesn't really mean anything. But say I was writing a program to give me the quadratic value, or like use values and then solve the quadratic formula and like give us the answer, then ABC would make sense because the quadratic formula has the values A, B, and C in it. It's like minus 2b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, something like that. I hope I'm not wrong. If I'm wrong, that would just be embarrassing. So yeah, just name something that makes sense. And don't really use numbers as like the starting letter of it. Also, the C++ language is case sensitive, so you can also name it as a capital value and as a lowercase value, and it'll still count as different things. Also, for people who don't really understand what case sensitive is, it just means that it recognizes lowercase values and uppercase values as separate entities and not as the same thing. And so that's the wrap for the variables chapter. And thank you for watching the video, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day, guys! Hey, guys!